Hello, everybody, and welcome to My EdTech Live. Thank you for joining us today on this wonderful Tuesday. I hope all of you have had a wonderful day today. And today, I am thrilled that we have a special guest today. We have our special guest who is Mr. James Varlak, who runs this amazing chat on Sunday evenings called the RGV EDU chat. So, Mr. Varlak, thank you for joining us here today. Go ahead and introduce yourself to everybody that's joining us here.
Thank you very much, Alfonso. Evening, everybody. Happy Tuesday to you all. Again, my name is James Varlak, and I am the host of the hashtag RGVEDU chat, which is a chat that meets every Sunday, 7 o'clock Central Time. And we discuss education. We discuss fun topics. Right now, we're in a great series on remote learning and technology being applied to the classroom. So that's myself, and along with my wife, Dawn Hill Varlak, who is also an amazing counselor educator. We host the chat, and we are glad to be here on the show.
Awesome. Well, thank you, James. I appreciate it. And today, like I said, I'm really thrilled that you're here because this is a great topic that many teachers may not be, they may not be aware of what a Twitter chat is or what a Twitter chat can do for somebody personally on a professional level. So I'm glad that you're here. And I know I've been part of this chat for a while, and I have seen it just grow and grow very organically, and a lot of people joining in, not only from our area here in the Valley, but also seeing other people that are joining us from other regions and other states. And so that's something that is amazing. So today, I just really wanted to talk to you about just the importance of Twitter chats and becoming a connected educator. So in your experience, James, since you are the founder of this chat, which is great. To you, what is a Twitter chat? Can you let our audience know of teachers or professionals that may not be aware of what a Twitter chat is?
Sure. Great question. And if I could define Twitter as one thing, Twitter is like a river of information. Okay. So I know we have websites and we have other social media sections. We have Instagram, we have Snapchat, we have Facebook. What Twitter is for an educator, and what I feel like Twitter represents to me, is just this river. So at any time, I can put my hand in the water and I can grab some information, but constantly I'm seeing this flow of information, resources, tips that I can use, educators I can connect with. They're constantly flowing by. And once I connect myself there on Twitter, I'm part of that community, a humongous community of educators. And so within that huge community, it's broken down into maybe your district, maybe into your region, maybe into a city, or maybe even your school. So you can go from all the way to these humongous levels of connectivity, all the way down to the folks that you work with every day. And so what is a Twitter chat? To me, being an educator, this is 11 years for me. So 6 years I taught middle school math, 6th and 7th grade math. And my wife also joined me at our school. She taught science, and we always were talking about getting educators connected together because, yes, we did walkthroughs. Yes, we did, we got around the tables for trainings, and we got to share, think, prayer, share, whatever. Those are great, not knocking that. But I was looking for spaces that maybe we weren't able to connect with always at school. So sometimes during the day, you just get, school gets in the school life gets in the way. You have to do grades, meet with students, meet with parents. And so we were trying to find a way that we could connect with other educators, maybe outside of school time. And so the idea was to get connected on Twitter. Okay. So when I got on Twitter, this will be actually about 5 years for me on Twitter. So when I first got on Twitter, I saw this information, had no way to process it, had no idea what any of this stuff meant, right? So I saw a couple of tweets, and some of those tweets were, hey, join us for what's called a Twitter chat, okay? And it would have a specific hashtag, okay? And so to kind of brief up the hashtag explanation, so a hashtag is a space that's created, and so every tweet that uses that same hashtag, everyone that's joining into that space can see, view, they can like, they can retweet, and they can share, okay? And so within that time, whoever's hosting or moderating, they will create a set of questions, and in a timely fashion, those questions are displayed, and then the educators that are there and connected, they get to chime in on the chat. Okay, so I participated in a few chats. I have to give a humongous shout out to the chat. It was EdTech After Dark. EdTech After Dark. Monday nights, it was at 9 o'clock. That was the first chat I was ever on. And there's 3 gentlemen. One of the guys I follow, his name is Alex Stubenport, an AP principal there in Florida. Their chat revolved all around being great communicators and then issues that were current in education. They were always pushing the envelope with these chats, so the connections, the sharing was like incredible. So that became a weekly part of my professional development, my educational development. And so going through that and going through those chats, found some other chats, found some other educators to connect to, found some folks to follow that were doing cool stuff. And so my background at the time was I was doing campus technology. So technology was what I was kind of looking for. How can I train teachers to become better in the classroom with technology? Okay, so my chat started leading to those type of things. So I found hashtag ditchbook. I found Mastery Chat. I found TLab. I found several, tons, too many to name. Shake Up Learning, all that stuff. Okay, so I got the idea with my wife. She was like, "You should start your own chat," and I was like, "But why?" And so, revolving around that theme of being connected, that's how this chat kind of came up. Okay, so I guess to kind of sum up my first answer, a Twitter chat is a place and a space where you connect using a hashtag, and it revolves around a set of questions. So you can get on there and share your thoughts and feelings in a space where maybe if you're at school or you're around right beside your peer, you may not feel as comfortable. So if I had to sum up a Twitter chat, it would be just that, a space using a hashtag where you can connect and just share. That's pretty much it.
Awesome. Well, I really like a couple of things that you said in your explanation that really stuck out, just following these hashtags, following the people that, like you said right now, you mentioned that you were following because you're wanting to learn as well. So I guess you can say following these hashtags or certain chats that you're going through as an educator through this river, like you described it, which I loved that description right there, this river that's Twitter. If you type in a hashtag, maybe like I'm a first grade teacher or a math teacher, and if I type in hashtag math teacher or hashtag first grade, we would be able to find so much information there that we may be looking for. And I really like that you said that it's things that you were looking for to help you grow and make those connections. So I guess, that's really what this chat is about. It's really connecting with other people that you may not normally see on your day-to-day, connecting with other people that are not even within your city or even within your state, but that offer you something that you're interested in, and you are getting maybe a snippet of formal learning from them, even if it's just through Twitter, because that can make a big difference in our positions and being able to share that with our teachers, as well as you and I. We do the same thing for our districts. I mean, Twitter is definitely a wonderful tool to continue growing and learning personally, because we don't know it all. And so this is a great river of knowledge that we can dive into and go ahead and get those certain things. So that is awesome. I really love the description of Twitter that you had there, a river, and you can find the space. Awesome. So going back now, like you said, you mentioned your wife, Dawn, who helps you moderate these chats. And you were talking about this since you participated in a lot of chats, and maybe she participated right along there with you and just kind of gave you that idea and said, hey, why don't you do your own chat? So let's go ahead and continue with that. So what motivated you to start this chat on Sunday evenings?
Okay, so a funny thing is my wife started a Twitter account actually years before I had, and I asked her. So one day we were just there. I was like asking how to use Twitter, and she said, "Oh, I've just tweeted maybe like 2 times in my entire life." So in her realm, I guess at the time, it wasn't a resource that she saw or she needed. So I think speaking to that point, the first time people create Twitter accounts, and anytime you create social media in general, I think you should have a reason behind it. So have some type of reason. You want to get connected. You want to get with family. You want to showcase the awesome things that you're doing. I hear the term branding a lot. I don't think it's not necessarily about branding, but you know what? I think the educational community is in a place where we share. So other positions, other careers may not share as much as we do, but I think in general, an educator is on a platform and they're there to share. So for our motivation, getting back to that, so she was like, I've been on Twitter in a long time, and so I was like, it's okay if I create an account because those are the things we talk about, husband and wife. So we always talk about the things that we're going to get into. She's like, yeah, you should check it out and see how it can be helpful. So created my account, went through that whole thing, and a couple of years ago in December, there was a meeting. There's a group of ed tech educators here in the Valley, and that we're part of. You and I, some folks from Region 1, so we're all kind of connected in different aspects. And so we hosted a meeting, and what it was is I had the idea at UTech 2 years ago, 3 years ago. The UTech conference was a small kind of fall one-day conference there Region 1 puts on. And so Maggie Ojeda asked me to kind of run a small chat there in the UTech. And so I said, yeah, sure, I'll do it. So I came up with a couple of questions, used the UTech hashtag, and the responses that we got were amazing and outstanding. So I was like, man, this is really cool. I said, these folks are outside their little classrooms and they're really getting connected. So from that, we had this little meeting. We had, I don't remember everybody that was there specifically. I want to say we had librarians, we had writing advocates, writing specialists, we had ed tech people, and we had general teachers that were just interested. And pretty much what it was just an invite for folks to come have a little, morning Saturday, like kind of brunch. And so from that meeting, Maggie asked me to kind of lead it and moderate it. So I did. And I asked them like, hey, how would you guys be interested in having a chat once a week where we share ideas, different districts can share, different teachers can share, they were very interested, right? So from that is when I would say it was a month later, had some ideas together. So we had our first hashtag RGVEDU chat, okay? And so we had 11 educators on the first time, and the chat was an hour long, and it ran in a series of, welcome, introduce yourself, and some questions, okay? So after that first chat, and the topic was basically on classroom management. That was kind of like the first chat. So it was on classroom management. And so from that, my wife, who hadn't been using her Twitter, got back on Twitter, and we were able to kind of co-moderate. And so from that, since that time, it has completely grown. So the motivation for me was to connect with educators number one, because I'm all about, I think, as educators, kind of the first main traits that we need to have servant hearts, number one. We need to be humble, and then we need to be able to communicate, because right, you don't have good communication, it's not going to go well in anything. So, but I think one of my classroom philosophy was always, support the students, but be like an ultra advanced communicator. I want to be able to communicate to any student at any time, right? So, so that motivation, so that is what pushed into the chat. So after the first chat, we waited a week. We kind of was checking out the response, and then we kind of got a few responses like, hey, can we do this again? This was really neat. It's a great way to connect. And so from that, we ran it again, and then it became an every other week chat, right? So every 2 weeks we would host a chat. And so in December of that year, which was 2018, right? 2018, yeah, 2018. I decided to go ahead and we went to a weekly format. So we set it up as six questions, 1 hour a week, and the only time we would not host a chat is if it was a special weekend, right? Mother's Day, Easter or something like that. But the community response has been great. The Region 1 support, campus support has been awesome. And the support from my district where I'm in now with McAllen ISD has been amazing as well. So that was kind of the motivation behind the whole chat.
That's awesome. And like you said, it's just something that just grew just, from one idea, and then all of a sudden it just kind of took off, and now, like you said, you're getting that support not only from your district, but I mean, even all fellow educators and in other districts, other instructional technologists, other teachers that are seeing, this community continue to grow, and something that is of added value to us on a Sunday evening, when I know Sunday evenings are meant to relax, maybe, have a little barbecue, or you're just winding down, getting ready for Monday. But I mean, for a lot of us, that Sunday evening at 7 p.m., we're there and look forward to seeing and interacting with a lot of friends that we may not see on a day-to-day basis because of our jobs. And obviously now that we've been doing a lot of remote learning, or remote work, I should say, and we don't get to see each other in real life, and within our districts, or even on weekends or at events. So, this is something that is definitely wonderful. And, Sunday evenings, like I said, are I look forward to, because I mean, the chats are great, especially when everybody's throwing up their favorite gifts and along with the chats, and it's almost like we're having a gift war, but it's just amazing just the way the community is, and learning from one another. So, going back into that, your motivation and how you see this Twitter chat going and growing, tell us a little bit of how you prepare for your chats. I know that every week, we have a different topic. What is it that inspires you for the chats of that week to maybe cause us to think a little bit? Because sometimes, I mean, I've been into some chats where it's like, whoa, like I've never thought about things in that way, through that lens and that perspective. And it's something that's wonderful that happens, that helps you, us, or me as an educator or an instructional tech, also like think outside the box and continue to grow and push those boundaries of what our positions do and what we can do to help our teachers and our students. So tell us a little bit about how your prep goes for your chats.
Well, number one, so my first ever chat was a UTech chat that I was the actual moderator. After that, I hosted one from my friend Alex, who they used to have this chat called Woke chat, Woke EDU chat, right? It was all about bringing equity into schools, right? So how can we make sure every student in every class is receiving the optimal level of education, right? Based off discipline, based off, it could be race, could be the poverty level, different things. So when I was on that chat, I saw that these guys, it was like pretty much a weekly mini meeting that they had. So they would get together on a space, either it could have been a Google Doc or it could have been like a little Google Meet, whatever it was. And they would get together and they would plan out their questions, and they would, go back and forth, and they would, they would go back and forth, and they would like, this idea is good, but this idea is better, right? So one of our philosophies, my philosophy in the classroom and in life, has always been say yes to the best and no to all the rest, right? If you say yes to the best, you're going to say no to some really awesome and really good things, but you're trying to stay focused on the best, okay? So, and with that regard, I saw that space that they were in and how they were connecting. And so by 3 days out from like the chat, they had their questions ready, they had the slides ready, and it was like one person doing this, one person doing that. And so from that, I was like, okay, this is really doable. I can, my wife and I can bounce off the questions, blah, blah, blah. So every week after our chat on Sunday, we start planning for the next Sunday, okay? And so my wife is awesome counselor, great educator. She's worked at university, so she has this gambit of knowledge all the way from, university level down to middle school, okay? And she did special education there in Cherryland actually for a little bit as well. So she has that in her background as well. So what we do is we look each week, and I'm very, like, I'm a reader, so I'm always soaking up like whatever book I can get my hands on. And then after that, I'm a I'm an asker of questions. So if I have a question, I will ask. I will find that person somehow. I'll try to DM them and be like, "Hey, I'm not stalking you. I'm just saying, like, I want to ask you a question." And so that's kind of like how I kind of gather my knowledge, right? And then anything that I'm passionate about, which right now I'm working with ed tech, so that is kind of more what I'm leaning to. But I think um, there's many educators in schools that have something to say, and they maybe not have don't have a platform to say it. So we do a lot of question and asking for interviews as well. But pretty much, my wife and I start the conversation, and we make a few notes. We have a Google Keep where we keep the kind of the format that we have. So we use Google Keep for the format, and it has timestamps, so I know when to send out the questions, and I know how to arrange the intro, the arrange, all that stuff, right? And then from that Google Keep, we use Twitter and TweetDeck to kind of prepare the chat. So TweetDeck is what you can host your chat questions there. You can schedule them, pre-schedule them, so that way during the chat, all you're doing is responding. Okay, so all these things are going forward. Schedule, 701, boom, boom, boom. So I have everything scheduled, pre-scheduled, and so the only thing we do, pretty much, we're arguing about is the actual topic coming up until maybe Saturday night, sometimes Friday night, Saturday night. Okay, and my wife has really good ideas, and so we're always bouncing things back. And if she sees something maybe out in media or out, on her campus, and like that would be a really good focus for this week, that's what we discuss. Okay. And I try to have as many guests on there as possible. Library Week, we had 2 awesome librarians out from the Harlingen area that were on and hosted the chat. I've had Weslaco ISD host the chat. La Jolla hosted the chat. So my avenue is just trying to help districts kind of get in that mode of, this can be your space as well. So we use a Google Keep. We use I use Adobe Spark to actually create the slides. That's what I like to use, is Adobe Spark. I've used Google Slides and all that in the past before, but that's kind of pretty much our workflow. So Sunday, right after the chat, and this past Sundays we've been watching this Michael Jordan thing, so we haven't done too much planning. We're waiting till the middle of the week, and so but yeah, we start gathering our ideas, and then I'm connected to BME's chat, Black Male Educator chat, and they have outstanding chat framework and educators there as well. So things that are going on today in education, we discuss a lot about like remote learning, teaching styles. We discuss discipline, classroom management, ed tech stuff. And so anything kind of that's been bouncing around or we have a passion about, we'll try to make a list for 4 weeks out. So I'll try to make a list. Okay, I think this is gonna be a good topic. After that, this and this. And it usually comes down to, like I say, Saturday night, 11:59, we will make our final decision and go from there. But pretty much the workflow is, discussing with my wife. We'll be researching. We'll ask, for some interviews. Would you guys like to help host, help co-moderate? And from there, the chat kind of will build itself. So I kind of help schedule everything, and then from there, 6:59 on Sunday evening, we should be ready to go.
Wow, that is awesome, James. Like, I really had no clue the amount of work that you and Don do, to prepare these chats and everything. And that's just amazing how you're just not putting something out there just to say, hey, I'm on a Twitter chat and, just pick some random topics. I mean, you really take your time to see what would be a topic that would be beneficial for everybody to learn from, where everybody can participate and just really get the ideas and the creative juices flowing, I guess you would say. And I think that's something that's wonderful. I've had the opportunity to moderate some Twitter chats as well for the AR, VR, and EDU community. And I must say that it's something that you just don't just say, hey, if it's at 7, I'll prep at 6:30 and I'm good to go. No, these are some things that you really need to really take into account and prep because, especially if you want to have something that's going to be successful. And like you mentioned earlier, and I still can't get over the way you described it, the Twitter being a river of information, and you're creating this space this space where you yourself as an educator, ed tech specialist, and your wife can have a voice in and share within this massive river that is Twitter, and that we get to join right along with you following the hashtag RGVEDU chat, and that we can all meet together, like-minded individuals trying to learn from one another, and just waiting to see what it is that you're going to be bringing that Sunday at 7:05 when that first question comes in, and just starting the chat and get the ideas going. So that's something that's very impressive, and I really admire the work that you and your wife do in preparing this. So if any of you that are listening out there and have thought about maybe creating a Twitter chat or things of that sort, James is a great contact. You might want to contact James at some point in time, and you can find him at James Varlak on Twitter. You can follow me at TechTeacher1381 on Twitter as well, and we'll be more than happy to answer your questions or help you connect with other educators that something, that an idea or something that you want to learn. We can definitely help you out there as well. So James, let's go ahead and continue on here. And just a real quick shout out to those of you that are just joining us. Welcome to my EdTech Life. And we're talking about Twitter chats and the importance that Twitter chats have in our landscape as professionals, and also in becoming a connected educator. So the next question that I want to ask you is, what have you found to be the added value of Twitter chats? What, in your personal experience, not only for your personal growth, but in leading this chat, what are some of the stories? You don't have to give any names, but what's some of the feedback that you're getting? What is it that you're seeing that your Twitter chat, the value that you're bringing to our educator community, our EdTech community?
That's a great question. And speaking to your previous point about anybody wanting and interested in starting a Twitter chat. So I think a lot of people, educators in general, may see social media as maybe as negative in a light. And to that point, I will say every social media outlet has a positive and it has a negative. 99% of that depends on how you're interfacing with that social media, okay? If you're pushing negative and you're looking for negative, that's exactly what you're gonna find. If you're searching for positive, if you're wanting to connect, if you're wanting to share, that is also what you're gonna find, okay? So I highly encourage you, if you had any idea about starting a Twitter chat, it doesn't matter if you're the only person on there. Trust me, I've been there in a sense. Go for it. Share your ideas, come up with a hashtag. You can go online to the hashtag checkers, search the hashtag and check it. That's a very important point, because you don't want to search for a hashtag that someone may have taken and it may be connected to something that maybe isn't representative of the chat that you're going to host, okay? So check that always, and then go ahead and start. Try it, get your things together, start by having a conversation. I know when I was in Mission CISD, one of the schools there would have a Twitter chat within the entire school. And all it was one time a week, the principal or administration in charge of that week would send out one question, and they would just want everybody to respond. So let's say there was 250 teachers, staff, everyone in the school. Part of the goal was to have everybody get on there and share the response, and then retweet, do all that fun stuff. But the goal was, if the admin didn't have an answer to a specific question, maybe a group of teachers or someone who was sharing had that answer or had a good suggestion. So I thought that was a really cool way to kind of use Twitter to improve the school. But speaking of that, the value added of Twitter chats. Okay, so I think for me personally, when I participate in a chat, number one, when I'm on Twitter, I will see ideas that in a million years I never would have thought of. Okay, I never would have thought of how to approach a kid in discipline that way. I never would have thought on how to maybe handle a teacher in a situation that I thought maybe was an issue, or that teacher felt maybe neglected as a campus. They were an outsider. I never thought of a way to teach that lesson using that method. So number one, if you're looking to improve your pedagogy, get on Twitter. Okay? Twitter will challenge you. If you think you're doing something good, you think you're doing something awesome in your space, the first time you get on Twitter, you will become humbled to the nth degree. Okay. One of my little mottos is be humble because you ain't all that. And that is the fact. Be humble, stay humble, because we're in our little spaces. Yes, we're doing awesome things, but you know what? I need to be able to grow and learn from others. That's how I'm going to continue to push the envelope of being an awesome educator. Okay. I have to continue to grow. And so that has added value myself as a professional educator, right? I can see different pedagogy. I can see different resources. That, number one, in a sense, I can get better just trying stuff, right? Also, I think when you get on Twitter, you have to kind of be a risk taker. So if there's something you see and you want to try it, try it. There's 100 in our districts here, 187 days of school. You know what? I think the kids are not going to miss out on a few days when you're just trying something that you really want to try. Okay. Also, so professionally, you grow as an educator. Boom. Another way you grow is you learn how to interact with people. Okay. And what I mean by that is social media does give people the option to respond from a personal armchair, I guess you would say. Mm-hmm. So I can have my platform, I can have nobody here, I have my own little space, my hashtag, my profile, my Twitter handle. I can respond to you in whatever manner and method that I want to. So in that sense, Twitter chats do teach you how to interact, okay? If you post something that is maybe seen as negative in a space where everyone is being positive, you will definitely stand out. If you are kind of going with the flow and just, not really sharing or pushing yourself or being encouraged to share as much as you can, that will stand out as well. So, I'm not one for titles. I am, Google level 1 and all that stuff, right? So I have all that stuff, but I try not to promote it as much only because I'm there in a space where I'm just want to share. So for me, the whole, I'm definitely proud of what I've done, but I'm trying not to push that as an envelope. So for me, learning to do that, number one, when I first Twitter chat, introducing myself, I was like, James Varlack, level 2. I'm, the gold standard of educators in the Valley, whatever. So I did that. And I think the first couple of times I was on a chat, I just saw people that would chime in, hey, I'm Mary from South Dakota. I'm glad to be here. Boom. And so I think that kind of humbled me in a sense. So adding your value. So we talked about professionally growing, and we talked about interacting with others. Okay. Now, another added value is you get to know people as educators in a virtual space that you may never, ever meet physically ever in your entire life. Okay. But the fact is, if you have something you're going through, I remember we shared, we have an 8-month-old or 2-month-old, 8 weeks old Jordan Anthony, who was born in the midst of this COVID case. Thank the Lord, he's still safe and sound. Mama's safe and sound. We are thankfully safe. Everybody's safe and sound. But you wouldn't be surprised at how many people just got on there and said, congratulations, congratulations, very warm, very welcoming, very supportive. And that's the kind of things that sometimes maybe in your campus, in your district, in your job professionally, you may not have that support. So I think that value also gets added to Twitter. And so after a while, you're going to be, I remember when my wife, we had to kind of set low boundaries because, I was getting on Twitter and I was like on chats like every night. And that does take away. So you have to do kind of find a great balance. But I think those things for sure will add. If you are looking for, remember, if you're getting on Twitter, any social media, you need to have a reason. What is your reason? What is your why? Okay. Then when to get on there, if you want to, I'm going to just throw this example out. I'm just using it as an example. People that are bashing Trump. If that's the stuff you're looking for, you're going to find it all day. If you want to find Trump supporters, you're going to find that all day. If that is your median, if that's specifically what you want, that space is going to be created for you of how you're going to, kind of get that avenue for your own Twitter. So if those are the things that you're looking for and you want to be in those avenues, that's exactly what you're going to find. But if you're looking for a space to get resources, connect with educators, find positive examples of things going on in the classroom, that is for sure what you're going to find. So I think all of those kind of things add to being on Twitter. And again, you're going to run into the negative, but that negative always comes in your hands. What are you going to do with it? Are you going to reply? Are you going to create a response that kind of ends it? A lot of times we don't even have to reply. I remember first couple of chats when we did the woke EDU, we would have gentlemen that weren't associated with education at all. They would get on the chat and they would comment, and these comments were not very nice. Mm-hmm. So in response to those, we kind of talked about like, we'll kind of handle it internally. So we really won't respond. We'll just, be the bigger person and kind of move on. So I think those kind of things all revolve around being on social media. But for me, if you're looking for positive and you're interested in growing, sharing, learning, that is exactly what you're going to find.
That's awesome, James. I think you really just summed everything up. It just word for word. I couldn't have put that better myself. And I think for all our listeners, I think this is just going to be a great show for those of you that might have missed it, that you can listen to the podcast as well, because seriously, being familiar with Twitter chats, but not knowing the process and just the way that James is explaining this is something that is definitely very beneficial. I first, stumbled upon Twitter chats maybe about 2 years ago, and following again, some of my favorite ed tech things, which are AR, VR. And then as I started going to school again, some of the projects where, I'm becoming a connected educator and what platforms you're using. And right now, and everything that James said just really just summed up, the last 2 years of me even being part of Twitter chats and really seeing a community where you come together and you continue to grow. And for me, the added value is just connecting our community, sharing ideas and growing. And I think, like you said too, as well, James, like really humbling yourself too. And in the fact that oftentimes, we can be doing some great things and there's some things that we can be proud of and that we can share. But, one of the things is there's always going to be somebody else out there that's maybe doing it a little bit better. So instead of you can do two things. Like you say, you could either just like, well, I do it better, or just say, hey, you know what? I can learn something from that and maybe mix a little bit of that, mix a little bit of this and kind of make it my own and see how it goes. And so I think that's something that's wonderful there. Now, to kind of just sum up our chat today, speaking about Twitter chats, the RGV EDU chat, where would you like this to go? Where do you see it going? Do you have a vision for this? What's your, I guess, that moment where you say, you know what, this is where we wanted to do, that we've met our I guess our goal of connecting other people, or where do you see this going?
Another great question. Okay, so when I have to explain to people north of or anywhere outside Texas where the Rio Grande Valley is and what the Rio Grande Valley is, especially when I go home. So I'm from Cleveland, Tennessee originally. I've been in the Valley for 13 years. And this right now is home. So we love it. We live in Mission, Texas. We're doing our educator thing. We're raising our family. So this is home. But when I have to explain to people where the Rio Grande Valley is, I have a friend, he always says, you live in North Mexico. He says that constantly all the time. And so literally I usually just pull out Google Maps and I say, well, I live in South Texas. And they're like, okay, so like Brownsville area. And I'm like, well, yeah, it's kind of, you're close. We're about an hour south. So continue going south, right? So I pull out a phone and I show them and they're like, oh, really? You literally live close to the border. And I'm like, that's literally where we live. And they're like, well, okay, is it farming? Are there cowboys? Are there, the tumbleweed? Does it blow by the wind? And I'm like, no, guys, it's a thriving community with great educators. We have great schools. Do we have our challenges? Yes, we do. But you know what? It's a great community and it's one of the fastest growing places in the entire United States, right? You're like, oh, okay, great, great, great. But the goal, one of the goals is to hype up the educators that are here in the Rio Grande Valley, okay? I'm talking about like hype. We have some outstanding educators doing amazing things with students, with schools, and with limited resources, okay? So if most folks are here listening to podcasts, so the majority of schools here in the Rio Grande Valley are, the students live in a percentage at the poverty level that is very high, right? Extremely high. Some schools, almost 100% of the kids live at that mark, okay? So to find educators that are kind of doing cool things, you don't have to look any further than your local school, okay? Number one. The other thing is I wanted to be able to say from Laredo all the way to Brownsville and that span and everybody in between, I knew what was going on in their realm of education, right? So if someone asked me or if I needed to highlight something, I could understand like, this is what we're doing here on this end of the valley. This is what we're doing here on this end of the valley. This is what we're doing here in the North Valley and then the South. This is what we're doing. Okay, this is how we're connecting. These are the things we're doing, because I do think here it can always be, educators can see school as, you know, competition number one. If you see it's competition number one, what you're trying to do is maximize your student population, the benefit that your educators are providing, community resources, all that, right? That's number one. If you're seeing it as a place that to grow a community or to as a, you know, a family, your school's a family, right? Then I think you lend yourself a little more to sharing, right? So I want to learn from this school. I want to learn from this district. And so I wanted to be able to see kind of what everybody was kind of doing, because I'm wired like that. I want to know what they're doing. I want to know, hey, because if they're doing it good, we should be doing it, or we should be trying. Okay. So that kind of was one of the major things. I remember we talked about this a little bit before we went live. I was in a district and they had amazing things going on, but very few of their educators were going to these conferences that really had showcased what everybody else was doing. And so you get in your space, you get in your school, you get in your classroom, and you kind of make those things almost what we call kingdoms. I define them as kingdoms, right? You make your classroom a kingdom, right. You make your subject a kingdom, your school a kingdom, and that's great. I'm all for taking what you have that you're responsible for and making it the best that it's supposed to be, you know, all in your own merit. I'm 100% for that. However, if someone is next door to you and they are doing something that catches your eye or that's helping students learn and it's better, you know what? We got to man up and say, it's better. Can I talk to you about it really quick? We don't really have those conversations in education anymore. You knock on your door. Hey, you tried that really awesome lesson. I saw that. It was amazing. Can you show me how to do that? A lot of times we kind of put competition up as the wall. So I wanted the wall of competition to be down across the Rio Grande Valley. And so one of the ways is by getting different districts to host a chat or library month, bilingual. We had, when it was bilingual month last year, Hispanic Heritage Month, excuse me, we had some of the bilingual educators from Region 1. They were the moderators of the chat, and they thought that was like the best, greatest thing in the whole world. 3 educators got on, they got together. And so those type of connections, that is what I'm here for. That, I mean, I could say hundreds of times at the end of these chats, people will get on and say, you know what, this is one of my first chats, and you know what, this was really cool. This was an awesome way to learn from others. I learned so much. I hear that over and over again. And you know what, had they not taken 30 minutes on Sunday night to get on Twitter just to connect, they would not have known that. Okay, so I'm very proud of that fact. And then I do think the Valley is an amazing place with awesome educators doing amazing things. And I do feel like maybe it's kind of quiet. So it's a little quiet. So I wish we could make a noise that was so loud that all the states north of us, you know, the nation would hear. And we do in some, particular spaces have that going on. But it would be great if we could share that with everybody, and everybody had a space to share all of those things that were awesome. So I think moving on for the Twitter chat, it is, again, I would love to be able to have a different district host the chat once a month, any district that it is, right? Currently I'm in McAllen. They also in McAllen did it, and it could be whatever their topic, whatever their focus would be for that time. It'll be great to have some superintendents, like a superintendent chat. That's one of the goals, dreams. Have a superintendent chat, and all of them can actually host. I could get a few superintendents on. There'd be moderators for the chat, and then their populations can be on there as well. I think that would be really cool. And then growth. So I try not to look at, like, there was 5 people on this week. There was 100 people on last week. I try not to get locked into that too much, because I think the conversation will actually be the ultimate detailer of if it was a good chat or not, right? So, but I do feel like the more educators that are on Twitter. So I mean, we started remote learning, and I'm in McAllen. I never knew all these teachers had Twitter accounts, because as soon as they started doing remote learning, they were like taking selfies of like, ooh, me and my class and all. I'm like, guys, our department hosts a Twitter chat once a month. McAllen ISD Instructional Technology Twitter chat. You guys should be on. We're doing cool stuff. So I never knew, like, all these 500, 600 educators in McAllen had Twitter accounts. And so I think it would be amazing if ever it was a time when the chat was seen as like a forum for education rather than just a chat, but it was a forum for education for a gambit of people all across the valley, all across the nation, to come in to voice their concerns, to discuss, to celebrate. So I think going forward, I'm hoping that that kind of happens with the chat.
That is awesome. That is such a great vision. And I'm very thankful that you joined us here today, because everything that you spoke today was just so insightful. And so for anybody that was listening out there that was not familiar with a Twitter chat and what a Twitter chat can do for you as that benefit to become a better you, a better version of you, either through education, ed tech, or anything that you're looking for. I mean, Twitter, you can definitely find some like-minded people, some innovators, some people that can really get you thinking outside the box. And those are some of the things that a lot of us look forward to on Sundays. And in other chats, I know I have Linda here that's joining us, and I know I'm part of the AR, VR, and EDU chat, and she's been chiming in. And of course, Manuel Garces too, who's joining us, who's part of the Sunday chat as well. And I know I see him active on other chats also on Twitter. And and it's something that's great that even as educators, we're still hungry. We're not happy, and we're not being complacent. That like you said, sometimes we just build our kingdom, and you know what, I'm done. Like, I've got all my lessons. I know what to do. Year after year, I do the same thing. But here, with the Twitter chat, you can really kind of get outside your kingdom and see what else is out there, and the new things that are out there that can really blend really well with what you're currently doing, and it will help you grow. But one thing that I like to stress that you said was that competition, oftentimes, and I don't know, maybe we see it here more often, or it's highlighted, but I'm sure it exists everywhere. But I know here on Twitter, people are just, like you said, being very honest and straightforward, where if they may not be able to get some of that feedback within their district or within their school, or maybe they're not offering something that they're looking for, they can come to Twitter, join some of the chats, and meet some of the nicest, well-educated people that are out there in those specific areas that they're looking for. And they're so accepting and willing. And one of the things that I love about my PLN is, being able to just go and ask them a question directly. There's some people on Twitter that, hey, you see something wonderful that they're doing, and you just send them a message directly. Man, they're the nicest people, and they will respond to you. And then you build that friendship, you start connecting. And that's something that, of course, is a definite added value there for us as educators as we continue to grow. And James, I must say that I am very thrilled and happy that you were here joining us. And I think that this really kind of changed my view as far as Twitter chats, and I learned a lot from you today. And I thank you for sharing that experience that you've had through the years of doing these chats and learning from those men and women that took a part in their chats as well. And now you're bringing that to us here in the Valley. And again, just wanting to open up and everybody can share. And like you said, just an open forum where we can all just share ideas, come together, build community, and continue to grow, because in the end, it's going to benefit our students. And that right there definitely is, to me, the most important thing, that as we continue to grow, to strive and become great educators, our students are definitely going to benefit from it. So thank you, James, for joining us here today. Any last words or any shout outs that you'd like to give out to anybody?
A quick shout out to my McAllen ISD instructional technology team, my director at Ann Vega, my coworkers, Rosie Fluga, Gonzalo Sandoval, and our awesome staff members, Liz and Rosario. Quick shout out to them. If I could wrap this up, I would just say, you know what? Twitter is a space where you can learn, okay? But remember, any social media you want to get on, you're interested, don't just do it because it's popular. Do it because you have a reason. You want to get better, you want to learn. And so we're always willing to have you come and join us on the #RGVEDU chat. We're there Sunday nights, 7 o'clock Central Time, and we're discussing any and all things education. It's 30 minutes, 4 questions, fast and furious. And Alfonso is one of the GIF kings on there. So we go back and forth all the time. And so I have a friend named Mari Wood, and he is also, like, when I first got on Twitter, Mari was doing his whole GIF thing. He's kind of working in and out of a GIF EDU chat, so that's kind of another endeavor down the road. But thank you for having me, Alfonso. You're an awesome educator. We don't get to see each other as much because we're in different districts, but we catch each other at TCEA or UTEC or whatever. But I know you're doing amazing things where you are, and everybody stay safe. And big shout out to my wife, who is taking care of Jordan Anthony, who's 2 months old, and then my family is awesome. So I thank the Lord every day for all the blessings I have, and thank you very much for having me, Alfonso.
Amen. Well, it was a pleasure having you, and like I said, I think this is one of the I don't know. I learned a lot today, and this is one of the best shows that I've had, and I'm so thankful that you were here, and I can't wait to just definitely pull the audio down real quick and pop it into the podcast and start sharing it, because it's definitely worth a listen for everybody that didn't get to join us and who's interested in Twitter chats. So thank you guys, everybody that was joining us today, Linda, Manuel, and some people that might have popped in and out. Thank you for joining us here today. And those of you that caught us live, or maybe will watch this later, thank you for being a supporter of My EdTech Life. And I look forward to seeing you guys in about 2 weeks with a new live show. And this is us signing out. Y'all stay techie, my friends.